What's up guys, my name is Andre and welcome to this thing. You could call it a vlog, but I'm not too sure. It's been so long since I've done this that I honestly don't know if I have the hang of any of this. So let's update you guys about a whole myriad of things that have been going on. I want to say a few things about what happens when, even when we try to do everything right, sometimes we still fail. The reason why I'm shooting this with this old Sony camcorder is because all of my other cameras are either out of battery or they just outright don't work because of, SD card issues that I'm not going to get into, because I haven't been using these cameras a whole lot, and what happens is when you stop using them, the SD card starts to build up oxidization on the contact pads, and then all of a sudden they just quit working. So you have to, work them out a little bit before they start working again. So for the time being, I'll just shoot this with my old SD camcorder. Makes for a different aesthetic, I guess. And this is really off the cuff. This really is off the cuff because I haven't planned any of this, and I literally just dropped home. I got myself a recorder and a lav mic plugged in, and I'll just start doing some stuff. I'll go about my day, my evening, as you would say. Just got back from Sam's Club. Got myself some supplies, some bread, cheese, some chocolate biscuits. The kind of thing that a single guy will use to snack. So the story I want to tell you guys today is the story of my car. I know this sounds stupid, but bear with me for a second. For about 8 months, I didn't have a car. So basically what happened is, I was using this car to work. I am a hot water tech, as you guys know by this point. And so I drive a lot from point A to point B, visiting clients. And because we have like a whole lot of technicians, there was this guy that needed a car. And sometimes if the appointment is simple, I'll just go there by bike and do the things that I have to do. The problem is, the guy drove it so hard that he blew the head gasket. And the car in question was a Fiat Brava 1.6 liter. The engine itself is not hard to source. The engine itself is not hard to work on. Try to bear with me for a second in terms of the sums of money that we're talking about, because here in Brazil currently, the minimum wage is 1,518 Brazilian real or something like that. So this car, I paid 16,000 Brazilian real, like cash. So it was an old car, 2002. The car was in good shape. The engine, although the engine was in good running condition, the previous owner didn't drive it that much. It was an older gentleman that only used it, to go to church, get groceries, and so the car was never really driven hard, and he didn't let the engine, warm up to temperature so that the oil would burn the soot, and you guys kind of get the picture. So then I lend this car to an 18-year-old, fresh out of his driver's license. So what he did is he drove the car very hard, the car that wasn't used to being driven hard, blew the head gasket, and the repair was basically the price of the car. So I just scrapped it and I sold it for pennies for a friend of mine that I knew would put it to good use. Somehow he managed to put the engine back together, make it run. he sold it to another sucker. So basically I had no car for pretty much 8 months. And so I had no car. And since I do a whole lot of commuting by bike, there comes a time where I'm just sick of riding a motorcycle. I'm just sick of it. I just can't stand looking at the machine. So I need a car. I need a car to, you know, bring some variety back into my life. So I had the brilliant idea of walking into a dealership and buying myself pretty much the first 2-liter automatic sedan that I saw in front of me. In that case, it was a Nissan Sentra B16, the 2007 model. The car is not a bad car. It's just a car. It's just a car that's good at being a car and nothing else. It has no frills, no thrills, no personality. I regret doing this, and we'll get to it in a few minutes. But I bought the car from a dealership thinking that I would be safe, you know, that the car would be covered under, you know, a dealership warranty, which in Brazil at least, the warranty that everyone knows about is 3 months since from the day that you get the keys to drive the car. You have 3 months to report any issues to the dealership, and they have to fix it under warranty. That's basically how it works. So I got the car. Immediately the next day after I got the car, I had a list of issues to report back. They said, yes, just drop the car by our mechanic, because they have their own mechanic. Just drop the car by, we'll fix it for you, no problem. I did that 2 times. Like airbag lights, suspension issues. I did a trip that the round trip was like 160 miles, and the transmission overheated on me. It's a CVT, so you get the idea. So the car had a history of, you know, causing me trouble. The last thing it did with me, yes, it blew the head gasket on me. Me, the guy that doesn't really drive that hard. Like sometimes, for like 15 minutes, I'll just, you know, do pedal to the floor, just to break the ice, because sometimes I get tired of driving too. Oh God, the car blew a head gasket on me, which I really wasn't expecting. The dealership wasn't expecting, but they said, okay, you are 86 days into your purchase from the 90 days that you get of like this immediate warranty. They said, okay, just drop it by, we'll fix it for you. They took a month to fix it, but they did. I got the car back, and the engine was making a funny noise. Like, you guys have seen me tear down engines and work on them, so I know my ins and outs in engines and noises and play between parts. And so the car came back with a funny noise. Immediately, I didn't judge it serious. I didn't judge it like an immediate issue that needed solving, you know. So I rode the car a month. The noise started to get a little bit more annoying. It was a noise, it was a low rumble that the engine did when I was decelerating into a speed bump. You know, when the transmission would engage this special type not special type, but when the engine braking was stronger, you know, the transmission would engage this stronger level of engine braking. The noise started to get more annoying. So I noticed that when I revved the engine in neutral at about, I'd say 2,500 RPM, it would make this diesel-like sound. The engine literally sounded like a diesel engine. I took it around to a few of my mechanic friends, and they all told me this is piston slap throughout. Before I bought the car, I went to one of my mechanic friends, and I paid him to do a pre-purchase inspection. He stayed with the car for about an hour, took the car around, just to make sure that it was okay. He noticed a few things that weren't quite right with it. One of them being the head gasket. Like, the engine had been completely rebuilt at some point quite recently before the car was sold to the dealership. He said the engine was rebuilt properly. Like, the guy did a good job. But he cheaped out on the parts, like the gaskets, the pistons. That's what it seemed like, because this car, this car specifically, this MR20DE engine from Nissan, it uses a stainless steel multi-layer head gasket, and the gasket that it came with when I got it was like a fiber head gasket, so not the proper type. It works. Like my mechanic friend said, like, look, it's not the ideal gasket, but it works. So okay, blew the head gasket, came back with a weird rumble and this diesel-like sound when you revved it in neutral. So it was on the 30th of August. I was just coasting, getting to the shop from a highway run, mild thing, 60 miles an hour, 55, nothing special. When I pulled up to the shop, I heard this weird, like, metal on metal sound that was definitely not there. So immediately I just pulled out my phone and I started recording. And I sent this to the shop, to the dealership. And they said, dude, I'm sorry, but you're 5 months into your purchase, you have no warranty left. And that's when the thing starts to get twisty. So, as you can see up to this point, this car is a lemon, basically. It never brought me peace. It's a fine car, but it never brought me peace. So I tried to do everything right. I researched about the car. I paid a pre-purchase inspection. I did everything I could to make sure that the car I got was solid. And still somehow I failed. Somehow I just got in way over my head with this whole situation, and I just screwed myself over once again. Although the engine runs, because once I heard this noise, I immediately parked the car and didn't drive it anymore after recording the video to show the dealership what was happening. And then they told me I have no warranty. So now we'll start to get into the kind of specifics of how car law or lemon law works in Brazil, because we have a couple of laws that protect customers from shops, from dealerships that try to pull stunts like this. Basically, what the law says is you have 90 days from when you purchase the car to report any obvious issues that are happening with the car. So you drive around, you hear a clunking noise that comes from the suspension. So you communicate to the dealership and they have to fix it. That's the 90 days of normal warranty that everyone knows about. But there's a second type of warranty that few people talk about, but it exists, but it is a little bit more complicated. The law doesn't say a specific time frame, but it is, in courts, it is generally accepted to be within a year. Within this year, if you notice any issues that weren't there when you bought the car, they weren't obvious to you when you purchased the car. So for example, I bought the car, I drove it around, I drove it about 6,000 miles in 6 months, so it's a lot. So I got the car, I drove it around, this issue with the engine wasn't readily apparent. So from the moment that I noticed this issue, I have 90 days to communicate the shop. So it's like this second hidden warranty to cover hidden issues that weren't readily apparent. So that's basically the thing that I'm trying to make the shop understand right now. Unfortunately, the shop wouldn't talk to me about this. I explained the whole situation in legal terms to them, but they just wouldn't accept it. They wouldn't budge. They told me more than once, look, your warranty is expired, you have no recourse, just deal with it. Unfortunately, I had to get in touch with a lawyer, pay him to be the in-betweener in the deal, So I told him the whole situation. I gave him everything that I had in terms of information, everything that I had in terms of, you know, messages that were exchanged, phone calls, videos, and records that I had of all the issues that the car had, to prove him that the car so far has been a lemon. And fine, they fixed the car for me last time under a warranty. They changed the gasket, they did everything they could. They did, you know, they did everything right as well. But the car had this issue, this ticking time bomb, that were, you know, low quality parts inside the engine, like cheap rods, cheap pistons that no one was really expecting. Where are we at? This lawyer that I hired is getting in touch with the dealership and is getting in touch with the lawyers of the dealership so that hopefully we can all come to an agreement before we actually go to court, because doing things out of court is a lot cheaper and a lot faster, because if the shop and the lawyers somehow refuse to accept this obscure fault, as we say, obscure defect, I don't know, we will have to bring them to court in order to fix the car, and I have a strong case. So that's more or less where I am at. Dealing with a situation like this is never fun. You have to make them understand that, sure, they did this last repair under warranty for me, but from the point in time when they did the repair, I get another extended warranty by law, and they have to abide by it. You know, it's basic consumer law here in Brazil. It's unfortunate. Like, I don't go out of my way to screw people over. I'm not going out of my way to be a jerk and say, you have to fix this and you have to fix that. Like, I did a couple of repairs on the car myself, simply because I didn't want to bother them with some issues. Like, for example, I went on a trip to the mountains with the car, and because the starter was hot, I went to start the car and the car didn't start. So I had to fix this myself. You know, that's the kind of thing, these are the kinds of things that were, like, if I went after them, they would have to cover these things under warranty, but I didn't go after them to do this, you know, to get it fixed for me. So again, I don't go out of my way to screw people over. But in this case, the car is basically unusable, undrivable. Because if I try to drive it, sure, I may go like 6 miles before I crack a hole open in the block. And now what? Now it's even worse. So I gave them two options. Either repair the engine. Keep in mind, this Nissan Sentra is worth about 28,000 Brazilian real against a 1,518 Brazilian real minimum wage. So it's a substantial amount of money, you know, for someone who doesn't earn a lot. Fortunately, I do. I'm not, like, sure, I am kind of broke because this car broke me down. The car broke down and broke me down. But you see, the first invoice I got to fix the engine was 15,000 Brazilian real. That's to fix half of the engine, just the bottom half, just pistons, rods, crankshafts, and I was like, dude, what the fuck? This car is worth 30 grand at most, because I paid 30 grand for it. I financed it, and somehow to repair half of the engine, it's worth it. They want half of the value of the car. Like, what the hell? But apparently, it is what it is. So I gave them two options. You either fix the car, which is gonna set you back half of the price of the car, or we can go to a salvage lot, get an entire engine, drop a whole different engine into the bay, and off we go. So that's the two options that I gave them. They never replied. They never responded directly to me. So that's when I said enough is enough. I can't drive this car. I can't stand paying for this. This car, if I take into account the finance, the price I paid to repair the suspension all by myself, the price that I paid to repair the starter motor, all of this is eating about 40% of my income. I really don't want to do this. I really don't want to have a car that I am compromising 40% of my salary on, and a car that I can't drive because some dealership doesn't want to obey the basic lemon law. I really do hope that they come down to their senses and realize that, hey, we are a dealership, we sell cars, we have to abide by lemon laws and consumer laws. You know, if we want to stay in business, unfortunately, that's the thing that we have to do. Same thing with me. I work with clients, with people, and if somehow something goes wrong, even if it's not exactly something that I did, but it's something that the responsibility fell on me because I worked on something, I have to pay. I have to swallow it all up and just face it, you know. It's a loss. So that's the whole thing that happened. I moved places once again because the other apartment that I was in, the apartment got sold and the new owner wanted it to live in. So they basically kicked me out. So I had to, in a rush, in about, like, I don't know, 2 weeks, I had to find another apartment, move all my stuff. I have no network of friends anymore to help me, so I had to do pretty much everything by myself. I was very, very broke at the time. That was back in March to April. So I basically couldn't pay for anyone to do the moving, so I had to move it all by myself, using my arms and my back. But the place is back together. So this is the place that I have been living. I am dating someone again. Finally opened myself up to allow myself to go to see someone, to try to have something again. I thought that it would never happen, but thankfully it happened. So I've been happy. Like, in terms of relationship, yeah, I've been pretty good. It's been a different stage in my life where things are moving in very different ways, and it's been one hell of a learning curve, because when you get into a relationship with an older woman, at some point or another, she is going to act like your mother. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but women, they want a strong leading man. And if you are young and inexperienced, I guess you kind of understand what happened. I had a mother with benefits at the end of the relationship, because I was really not being able to keep up with the things that I needed to keep up with. And she just said, out you go. I don't want another son. I have 2 daughters that I take care of, and I really don't want a son that likes to fuck me in bed every night. So honestly, it took me a while to understand and a while to accept this, but unfortunately she was right. I was kind of like an unwanted son in her house. Boy, that's a lot of information for a single video. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. I hope you guys learned something from me, you know, from hearing this story about me getting screwed over by a dealership that sold me a lemon. I stay hopeful that it will sort itself out. I will have a car in the near future. I have to, like, really seriously, because it's been less than a month and I am already going crazy over the fact of not having a car, because since I don't have a car, I'm having to ride my bike all over the place again, and it's just not doing me any good. Anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll catch you guys next time. Take care. Boy, that was a lot. I'm so sorry.